بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. So this is the sixth class of Classical Arabic Poetry Unlocked, beginning with the Diwan of Al-Mutanabbi. So in the last class we left off at مهلا فإن العذل من أسقامه وترفقا فالسمع من أعضائه. And so this particular verse was the reintroduction of the poet addressing the adil, or the reproacher. And so we saw a transition from the beginning of the poem where the poet addressed the reproacher after emphatically indicating that القلب أعلم يا عذول بدائه. And then there was a point within the poem where the poet stopped addressing the reproacher and began to make emphatic statements, making emphatic statements not addressed directly to the reproacher, in the form of عجب الوشاة من اللحاة وقولهم دع ما براك ضعفت عن إخفائه ما الخل إلا من أود بقلبه وأرى بطرف لا يرى بسوائه إن المعين على الصبابة بالأسى أولى برحمة ربها وإخائه. And then he begins to address him once again, and we said that the tone directed at the individual or individuals that reproached him changed. It changed, as you can see, where it says مهلا فإن العذل من أسقامه, which is calling for patience and restraint, which is different from the language that was used initially, where he stated, he referred to them as adil. And so this sort of language also continues where he says وَهَبِ الْمَلَامَةَ فِي اللَّذَاذَةِ كَالْكَرَى مَطْرُودَةً بِسُهَادِهِ وَبُكَائِهِ. And so the first word is hab, and it's the command form meaning grant. And in this particular context, it means to consider, or so imagine. So he's telling him to imagine. And a possible synonym includes iftarat, meaning assume that something is true. The next word is al-ladhadha, which is the pleasure, delight, or enjoyment. It's often associated with sensory or emotional gratification. A possible synonym includes al-mut'a, which is the satisfaction or gratification that's derived from an activity or an experience. And also we have a possible synonym in the form of as-surur, which is a more general term for happiness and joy. The next word is kara, which is drowsiness or sleepiness, or the state between wakefulness and sleep. And so the synonyms include an-nu'as, which is a state of light drowsiness, or al-ghafwa, which is a short period of sleep. And the final word is as-suhad, which is sleeplessness or insomnia, or the inability to sleep due to worry or pain or some type of emotional turmoil. Its synonym includes al-araq, which is difficulty in sleep, or um, a prolonged difficulty in sleep, and it usually is accompanied by stress or anxiety, or sahar, which is an intentional wakeful state. So the words that I've highlighted in blue and the words I'm going to be highlighting in blue moving forward are words that we've already addressed and explained either in previous verses or in previous synonyms. So in terms of the i'rab, the verse reads وهب الملامة في اللذاذة كالكرى. هب is فعل أمر. الملامة is مفعول به منصوب. في حرف الجر. اللذاذة اسم مجرور بحرف الجر في. ك is حرف الجر. الكرى اسم مجرور بالكاف. مطرودة حال منصوب. بسهاده باء حرف الجر. سهاد اسم مجرور بالباء، والهاء ضمير متصل في محل جر. وبكائه واو حرف العطف. بكاء اسم معطوف مجرور، والهاء ضمير متصل. So the poet is saying, consider the pleasure that you get in blaming me as if it was slumber or sleep. And this slumber or sleep is prevented due to insomnia and weeping. So he uses the word matruda to indicate that this is something that is done by an individual or something. So this lack of sleep or this insomnia is actually the result of something, and something that has actually taken the intention of making sure that you're not sleeping. So he's referring to the adad. He's referring to the reproacher. That the behavior of the reproacher, even though that the reproacher finds delight, finds pleasure in this, that it is resulting in him not being able to sleep. And so he's trying to say to the reproacher, so listen, you do this to the point where it seems as if you find pleasure in it. And there's no way that you would continue reproaching me unless there was some type of joy that you got out of it. So this is a kind of slight. He's slighting him in this particular statement where he says, وَهَبِ الْمَلَامَةَ فِي اللَّذَاذَةِ كَالْكَرَى. So he's using al-ladhadha as an indication that there is some type of pleasure that one is receiving. Receiving from what? Receiving from the blame. And so he's saying that everybody enjoys the state between wakefulness and sleepiness. It's a state of relaxation that one is able to enjoy. And so he's saying, imagine that this state of pleasure in the form of between wakefulness and sleep, that this is interrupted by someone, and it's not just is interrupted, but it's repelled by someone. It's turned away in a desire to keep this individual away from sleep and pleasure. And so he's saying, consider that the blame that you find pleasure in is removed from me by the blame itself. So the blame that you find pleasure in is something that causes pain and suffering to the extent that there's a comparable between a person who finds pleasure in sleep, and this pain is turned away because of my inability to sleep, insomnia, and tears, crying all night. So this example is supposed to be able to resonate with the reproacher. The reproacher is supposed to reflect on what was said to him because everybody enjoys this particular state. So he was supposed to reflect on this parable, this example, to be able to arrive at a point where he understands. Now I understand. So if you're saying that if you feel that what I'm doing to you is as if one is being denied sleep, then I understand. So he moves to another position where he states, لا تعذل المشتاق في أشواقه. So after providing him with an example so that he could understand what his actions result in, now he's telling him is a command form, لا تعذل. So if you understand this, the results of your actions on me, if you understood the effects that it could have on me physically and emotionally, now I'm commanding you in a sort of gentle way. لا تعذل المشتاق في أشواقه حتى يكون حشاك في أحشائه. So the only vocabulary word that we haven't addressed yet in the poem is hashaka. And hashaka is the innermost being or entrails. It's metaphorically used for emotions or deep feelings. So the hasha is below the diaphragm, on the inside of the abdomen that includes the liver, the stomach, the intestines, and other organs. And the plural form for hasha is ahsha. It's possible synonyms include jawf, which refers to the interior or the cavity, so the interior of a particular thing, or batin, which is innermost self or hidden parts. So the poet says, لا تعذل المشتاق في أشواقه. Do not reproach the lover regarding the love he has been inflicted with. لا تعذل المشتاق في أشواقه حتى يكون حشاك في أحشائه. Until you are afflicted with the same trials of longing and yearning as he, so that your heart can carry the same burning ache of yearning as the heart of the one who longs. So the poet moves from وهب الملامة في اللذاذة كنكرة مطرودة بسهاده وبكائه to now offering advice in the form of لا تعذل المشتاق في أشواقه حتى يكون حشاك في أحشائه. And so one of the things that we notice is that there's a plural for the word shawq. So he doesn't say لا تعذل المشتاق في شوقه, and he doesn't say حتى يكون حشاك في حشائه. He uses the plural for these two words. And so using the plural for shawq, it suggests that the lover's emotions are not simply limited to a single thing. It's not a single longing, but it encompasses numerous and a diverse forms of yearning and suffering. And so it's interconnected. It paints a picture of the heart which is overwhelmed by profound and sort of multifaceted desire. And this is also similar with ahsha. So he doesn't say hatta yakuna hashaka fi hashaihi. He lets us know that there are different parts. There's different parts of his body that's being affected by this longing. So it's really symbolizing sort of the depth of the emotional turmoil that he's experiencing, um, because he's letting us know that it's not just one hasha. It's it's encompassing all these different aspects of what's below the diaphragm that includes the liver, his stomach, his intestines, and other organs. So he's letting us know that he is suffering in a wide variety of parts physically in his body, in addition to the emotional longing. So, in terms of the i'rab, he states لا تعذل المشتاق في أشواقه. لا is حرف النهي الجزم. تعذل فعل مضارع مجزوم بلا. المشتاق مفعول به منصوب في حرف الجر. أشواقه أشواق اسم مجرور بفي، والهاء ضمير متصل. حتى يكون حشاك في أحشائه. حتى حرف غاية. يكون فعل مضارع منصوب بحتى. حشاك اسم يكون مرفوع. الكاف ضمير متصل في محل جر. في حرف جر. أحشائه أحشاء اسم مجرور بفي، والهاء ضمير متصل في محل جر. So the poet now goes back to, from making sort of commands and making suggestions, he goes back to using emphatic statements, and in the form of الجملة الاسمية. So he states إن القتيل مدرجا بدموعه مثل القتيل مدرجا بدمائه. And so the word qatil is the one who's been killed or slain, and its plural form being al-qatla. A possible synonym is dhabih, which means the one who is sacrificed. Mudarraj is a combination of being stained and soaked, and its possible synonym includes muballal, which means to soak without being necessarily stained, and mulattakh is smeared, stained, or dirty without necessarily being wet. So the poet goes back to providing parables or examples. He says, إن القتيل مدرجا بدموعه مثل القتيل مدرجا بدمائه. So the killing that occurs through the draining of the blood is similar to the one whose blood is drained through his tears. So he's reinforcing the fact where he states لا تعذل المشتاق في أشواقه حتى يكون حشاك في أحشائه, letting him know that there's pain involved. But not only is there pain involved, but there's also destruction. So an individual can be destroyed by the torment or the toils of love that this poet has experienced. So he uses the word inna, and qati inna is the tawkid. So it's a form of emphasis that's used in general or usually when a person has doubt. So if the listener has doubt, you would use a tool of emphasis. And this form is inna. And in the absence of doubt, it's also used when an individual behaves as if he or she has doubt. So this individual may not necessarily have doubt, but they're behaving as if they have doubt. So this adil, this reproacher, even though that he has love for this person and he is trying to do what he can in order to get him to stop suffering, but in his attempts to do that, he's killing him. So he's saying, Inna al-qatila mudarrajan bidumu'ihi. Al-qatil, he's referring to himself. So the one who is killed, and not only is he killed, but he is soaked and smeared bidumu'ihi, with his tears, is similar to the one who is killed, who is soaked and stained with his blood. And so we find also, it's highlighted in green, is that he uses the word dima'ihi. And so him using the plural form is similar to him using the plural form in the previous verse where he says, لا تعذل المشتاق في أشواقه. So ashwaq and ahsha. Him using the plural form in dumur and dima lets us know that it is plentiful. He says, إن القتيل مدرجا بدموعه. He doesn't say بدمعه. He doesn't say مدرجا بدمه. So he doesn't use dem and he doesn't use dam'. That indicates to us that his suffering is long. And the example is that his tears constantly flow, day and night, constantly. So this is why he's using the plural form. And it's similar to that of a person who has been killed and his blood doesn't stop. So in terms of the i'rab, we have إن القتيل مدرجا بدموعه. إن حرف توكيد والنصب. القتيل is اسم إن منصوب. مدرجا is حال منصوب. بدموعه باء حرف الجر. دموع اسم مجرور بالباء والهاء ضمير متصل. مثل القتيل مدرجا بدمائه. مثل اسم مرفوع في محل خبر إن وهو مضاف. القتيل مضاف إليه. مدرج حال منصوب. بدمائه باء حرف جر. دماء اسم مجرور بالباء والهاء ضمير متصل. So we'll stop here today and we'll pick it up next class with the next verse. والعشق كالمعشوق يعذب قربه.